Over the last decade, people have been leaving the Aloha state, which is hard to imagine for most, as people have only seen pictures of the pristine beaches, mountains, and have heard about the 75-degree year-round weather reports. The state is known for its turquoise waters, unspoiled sandy beaches, unique culture, surfing, and food. However, things have gotten so bad that in the last 10 years, there are now more native Hawaiians living on the mainland than living in Hawaii for the first time in its history. From high cost of living, out-of-control housing prices, taxes, and many other reasons we'll cover in this video, paradise isn't enough to keep people in paradise. So if you're thinking of moving to the 50th state, then grab a notepad to learn about all the reasons why people are fleeing. Number 1 is cost of living. Hawaii is the most expensive state in the country by far on just about every metric. In order to live happily in Hawaii, you'd need to be making around $200,000. The average salary in Hawaii is only $72,000, which means that even a two-person household isn't making enough to be happy in Hawaii. Utility costs are the highest in the country, with Hawaiians paying an average of nearly $400 a month, and it doesn't stop there. In February of 2023, gas costs in Hawaii reached a staggering $4.80 a gallon. Are you hoping to eat while you live in Hawaii? High prices don't stop there. Groceries will also come in higher than any other state, with a gallon of milk running you around $9. The cost will be a common theme throughout this video as we dive into the other reasons why people leave paradise. Number 2 is the taxes. Hawaii's tax burden is second only to New York. To be fair, Hawaii has one of the lowest residential property taxes in the country, but that's about the only reprieve you'll find. Hawaii has the second highest amount of general sales taxes at $2,287 per capita, and the highest in the nation for state and local general sales tax collections combined. Think you won't do too much driving when you live on a small island? Think again. Your gas tax is 5th highest in the nation. State and local taxes? 2nd highest in the nation, with an average of $1,049 per capita. So, if you are leaving Hawaii, unless you plan on moving to New York, you will be guaranteed to pay less in taxes. What do you get for all these taxes? Not much when it comes to education, as Hawaii consistently ranks in the bottom 10 to 15% when it comes to public school quality. Number 3 is economic inequality. Hawaii ranges from the incredibly wealthy to the incredibly impoverished. And yes, every state has some level of this disparity, but it is significantly more apparent in the Aloha state. Sadly, the biggest disparity seems to affect native Hawaiians, who disproportionately represent the poor and homeless populations. The richest 5% of households in Hawaii have an average income that is a staggering 10.9 times as large as the bottom 20% of households and 4.1 times as large as the middle 20% of households. Hawaii also has one of the highest rates of homelessness per capita in America, with over 10,000 people chronically homeless at any given time. This contrast to paradise has been a reason for why people have packed their bags and are willing to trade paradise for the mainland. Homelessness disproportionately affects native Hawaiians, as they represent 51% of the homeless, while only representing 10% of the population. With an overall poverty rate of 8.9%, it's no wonder people are moving out. Number 4 is probably the biggest reason on this list, and that is the cost of housing. In addition to the high cost of both rentals and homes, there is also a severe housing shortage. As you'd imagine, on an island chain, there is a limit to how much land can be utilized for housing. The median home price in Hawaii is nearly $700,000. This is the highest in the nation by far and twice the median price of the 6th most expensive state. Maybe you'd consider renting instead of owning. Think again. You won't get any reprieve there when it comes to cost. Hawaii was, up until recently, the most expensive state to rent, but it was narrowly eclipsed by California. Median rent in Hawaii is over $1,700. Hawaiians spend an average of 42.1% of their monthly income on rent, and significantly more if they are homeowners. It's the price of paradise, unfortunately, and it is steep enough to cause a mass exodus. Number 5 is location. As they say in real estate, location, location, location. Once on the island, you will find that the entire island is the ideal location, but that doesn't change the fact that you are on an island chain in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Hawaii is 2,471 miles from California, which means that not only does everything need to be shipped in and out, which increases the cost and availability of everything, it also leads to island fever. Island fever is the colloquial term used when people begin to feel isolated, anxious, and claustrophobic. Imagine if there was nothing but water in every direction. You live on the water. 20 minutes north, water. 20 minutes west, water. 20 minutes east, water. You get the picture. Every trip to the mainland will be a minimum of a 5 to 6 hour flight just to get to California. Tack on another 6 hours to get to New York. Ever try to get something shipped to your home? On the mainland, we can expect a swift turnaround time. Even those on Amazon Prime will wait 3 to 7 days for what can usually come later that day, or 2 days for those willing to be patient. Go to just about any store's website and you will almost always see a shipping qualification for Alaska, Puerto Rico, and yes, Hawaii. Number 6 is lack of job opportunities. Hawaii has an unemployment rate of 9%, well above the national average. Hawaii has a lack of diversity among job sectors, with tourism being one of the major industries. This means that the pandemic hit employment particularly hard in Hawaii since the islands were isolated and tourism was heavily restricted. Tourism is responsible for more than a third of all jobs in the state, so after the pandemic, many people have had to head back to the mainland to find work. The dependence on tourism has continuously been cited as a reason why unemployment rates in Hawaii have continued to remain high. Tourism has also been the cause of many of Hawaii's other problems, particularly the plight of the native Hawaiians that are being priced out of paradise. Finding a job in another part of the state also poses a challenge, as it requires a flight to get there. So instead of getting on a plane to another part of the state to find an equally weak job market, it's just as easy to get on the plane and head to the mainland for more economic diversity. Speaking of tourism, number 7. Many locals and natives have cited excess tourism as a reason for fleeing the state en masse. The state has been overrun by tourists. Since Captain James Cook became the first European to step foot on the islands in 1778, non-natives have been flooding to the islands to capitalize on its rich sugar plantations and missionary opportunities. The influx never stopped. The state was annexed shortly thereafter, and native Hawaiians found themselves in a perpetual fight to maintain the purity of their land. Flash forward to the 2020s, and tourism has priced out the locals. It also means finding a place to enjoy their own land without large crowds is becoming increasingly difficult. Many local and native Hawaiians have been asking tourists to be responsible. This means not tagging themselves on social media every time they find a hidden piece of paradise, and not leaving a piece of themselves behind in terms of litter. What was once a protected island chain, free from commercialization, has now become a factor in why people are heading out. Number 8 is the traffic. On a small island chain, you would think driving would be easy compared to New York and Los Angeles, but the lack of space also means that millions of people are using a limited highway system. Since it's cut off from the mainland, they aren't part of the greater interstate system that clog up the rest of the nation, but that doesn't mean that there isn't bumper-to-bumper traffic. According to the Polynesian Cultural Center, Hawaii has some of the worst traffic in the nation, and unlike many cities that get congested during normal rush hour windows, the amount of short-term rentals and tourists on the road mean that Hawaii's roads are clogged throughout the day with little predictability. The only thing that Hawaiians can predict is that there will be traffic. Imagine you are going to work, most likely in the tourist industry, and instead of battling other commuters, you are battling other commuters and everyone else visiting the island, probably headed to your place of employment as well. Number 9 is crime and racism. Many tourists will come and go without any feeling of danger, but for those who live on the island, they may notice something different. Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders are disproportionately affected by crime and are oftentimes overlooked. This legacy goes all the way back to the days of colonization and the overthrow of the Hawaiian monarch. Asians, Native Hawaiians, and other Pacific Islanders are victims of approximately 105,000 non-fatal violent crimes on average. With that, it's no surprise that this demographic is leaving their indigenous land. Hawaiians' concern about violent crime and gun violence are rising each year. Despite Hawaii having a crime rate lower than that of the national average, Hawaiians feel differently, particularly Native Hawaiians. Hawaiians have also reported steep increases in personal experiences with violent crime and gun violence. About 13% of Hawaiians said they've experienced violent crime in the past year. That's an increase of 117% in just 1 year. Around 71% of Hawaiians think that crime is on the rise, and another 51% say that their personal safety has been affected by the pandemic. With all Hawaii has to offer, this list makes it clear why people may be seeking greener pastures despite there being no greener place in the country. Hawaii has implemented many programs to try to retain its locals from leaving, such as diversifying its job opportunities and trying to entice young entrepreneurs to keep their startups on the islands. If you are thinking of moving to Hawaii, consider this list. Island fever is real, and many military families are thrilled to get assigned to Hawaii, but equally as thrilled to leave after their 2-year stint.